Hello guys, you're welcome to my channel. So this is Exquisite Styles by ST, and if this is your first time of discovering this channel is centered around sewing. I make sewing tutorial videos, pattern drafting, and please, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so, and trust me, you're not going to regret subscribing to this channel. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much for all your subscriptions. Thank you, I really do appreciate. But I have a little request to make. I urge you to please like any of my video once you're done watching, so that YouTube algorithm can as well take note of that, and it will enable people who are interested in seeing all these kind of videos to see. I hope you understand what I mean. So please don't forget to like my videos. And in today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful gown which I'm putting on, and you can see that it's a corset gown actually, and it has a keyhole neckline, but I didn't add sleeve to mine. So I'll be sharing with you how to make this dress, and trust me, if you should follow each and every step which I'm going to show you, no way, absolutely no way, you're not going to achieve this in an hour or so. Okay, so please don't skip any part of this video, because the parts you skip may be the most detailed and important part. So see you there. Without wasting much of your time, I'll just get started with this video. So guys, I'm gonna head to assemble all the materials that I'll be needing in the making of this dress. And as you can see, I have my bra cup, and I have my African print fabric, I have my lining, and I also have my hair stay. So all this I'll be using for this particular dress. And I have my scissors, my measuring tape, and my ruler as well. So I've gone ahead to draft out the basic bodice behind the camera, and as you can see, that's my shoulder line. From my shoulder line to my bust point, I have 10 inches, to my under bust, which is UB, to my waistline or my half length, and my hemming allowance. So from my bust point, I just came up by 1 inch, and I'm just going to come in by half of an inch at that point there. So after that, I'll just connect those two little lines, and I'll extend that line as well to my bust point line, just like this. So having done this, I'm just going to get my cups, and I'll give a little explanation regarding this cup. So in this cup now, I have a bust size of 36, but I added 2 extra inches to this before I got this cup. So this cup I have is a cup of size 38, so you should get at least a cup that is twice bigger than your bust, so that it will cover your bust properly, so you don't just show too much of your cleavage or your breast. So just like this, I placed this directly on my under bust line, and I went ahead to mark this out. And as you can see, I've already gone ahead to do that, and this is what it's looking like. And while doing this, please do ensure that your hand is steady, because this cup can shift. I mean, the bra cup can actually shift, and it can be a bit tricky. So you can see what I've gone ahead to do already. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark 2 inches on that cup, this bra cup, which I already traced out. I'm just going to mark half of an inch like this, and after marking that, I'll go ahead to connect all of these dotted lines together using my marker, just as I'm doing here. So having done that, now I'm just going to come down from that point, which is my chest line. I'm just going to come down by one inch, and I'm going to mark that 1 inch. And after marking that 1 inch, from that point where my bra cup actually stops, I am going to connect from there all the way into that line this way. So at this point, you actually want yours not to have any yoke or anything. You can go ahead and cut that part, but no, I'm attaching a yoke to my dress. So having done that, now I'm just going to place my bra cup on the already traced out bra cup I have on my pattern paper, and I'll go ahead now to measure my bust circumference divided into 4, and I have 9.5 right there. So like I said, this is actually tricky, so I had to retake the measurement. I had to place my tape there as well, and you can see there's 1/4 inch difference. So do ensure that you actually have an actual measurement. So I went ahead to divide my waist circumference of 32 into 4, and I marked it right there. So the next thing now that I am going to do is to connect from that point. That mark in which you're seeing, there's actually my bust circumference divided into 4, which I use to determine my armhole curve. I hope it's not confusing. If you watch my tutorials on basic bodies, you understand. So from that point I came down by 2 inches, and I'm just going to connect this into these other parts just like this. So you can see we are almost ready with this, and at that point as well, I'll do ensure that you go up by half of an inch. The reason for this is to avoid gaping at the end of the end of the day, sorry, when you're done stitching your dress. So do ensure that you actually come up by half of an inch just like this. Please, you shouldn't skip your mind at all. So I'm done now. The next thing I'll do is to go ahead and include or mark all my stitching or sewing allowance. So I actually made a mistake by actually marking from the line I started from my armhole to my waistline, which I noted earlier. So I had to cancel those lines, and I took my sewing allowance from the right line where I'm supposed to take it from. So now I'm done with this. I'll just go ahead and connect all of these lines this way. So now I'll come to that my shoulder line. I'm just going to go up by that point by half of an inch. I'll extend that, and I'm just going to form my shoulder slope, because that's basically what I didn't do in the drafting of these basic bodies. So this is all that for this top part of this dress. So we'll go ahead now to cut out all of this, and please watch and look closely so you know the parts that are meant to be cut out the way they are meant to be cut out. Please just take your time and achieve what you want to do perfectly. So I've gone ahead to cut off all of that part. So now the next thing I'll do is, at that point on my hand is, see the way I'm going to cut this out. So I just went ahead to join the other side. So you just cut out like this. Please watch carefully to know the parts which I cut out already. After that, I'll go over to the yoke line. Please, you can see how I'm cutting this out, right? This is exactly how you should cut yours out as well. Okay, so now for the armhole, I'm going to cut out everything I have there for my shoulder sleeve and also for my neck depth. So this basically is, and you can see the half inch how it's already looking on this dress. So now I moved over to draft off for my back part, for my back body, sorry. So I just went ahead to extend that 3/4 line which I had for the front bodies, which actually appeared here. So I'll go on ahead to mark half of an inch, which will serve as my zip allowance. And after doing this, I'll connect with the straight line, and I'm going to label that part as my zip allowance. So having done that, I'll go ahead and divide my shoulder into 2, and I'll mark it, and I'll mark my neck width of 3 inches. Okay, so what I'm actually doing here is the repetition of how to draft a basic bodice, which you should be conversant with by now, or if you aren't, you can as well check it up on the channel. I have a different and a detailed tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice. So for the neck depth for the back, I went down by 6 inches because I actually want the neck to come down. Yeah, so that's my bust points, my half length, and my hemming allowance. So that is it, just the way you draft a basic bodice. So now I have to go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple of 3.5 inches on all of these lines, and at that my waistline there, I came out at both sides by half an inch, and I connected into this part just like this. So I'll go ahead now to divide my bust and my waist into 4, and I just marked all of that. I'm replacing my dart at this point, and it's definitely going to touch that line just like this. So they took the light, of course we're in Nigeria, so I'm just going to explain what I did after that. I am After replacing my dart, I went ahead to add 1.5-inch sewing allowance, which I did for the front part. And for the for the zip part, you can see that I've actually gone ahead to cut that part out, but I'm going to explain this despite having a tutorial on this actually. So from that point, I actually went up by 6 inches, and I marked the 6 inches, and I started connected this and cut out everything. If you are not really cleared by what I mean, go ahead and watch my tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice. So after all of that, I proceeded to cut out for the skirt part of this gown. So now I've gone ahead to mark my 1 inch, and that 1 inch at that point where I'm marking automatically be my waistline. So after that, I connected my ruler. So that 1 inch is actually to make this work easier, because the upper bodice actually has 1 inch hemming allowance. So adding 1 inch to this, by the time you're joining, you just mark the 1 inch and join everything all together. So I divided my waist of 32 into 4 and marked it right there. And I'll go ahead now to determine my hip length, which is usually 9 inches for majority of adults. And I'll go ahead as well now to okay, so my full length I'm working with here is 39 inches. So my half length was 15 inches. So 15 inches subtracted from 39, you'll be left with 24 inches. So I added 2 inches extra joining or hemming allowance at this piece I have right here. So you can see that that's all I have. So I actually measured this out before I cut it out. I hope you are not confused, right? So I'll go ahead now and divide my hip circumference into 4, and I'll mark it right there. And I'll go ahead to subtract 1 inch from my full gown length, so that I want it a bit penciled and not straight. That's the reason for that. So you can see I've gone ahead to do that. The next thing I'll take now is my dart. So on that point, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple of 3.5 inches, and I'm going to come down by 5 inches, and I'm just going to connect that line down to that point, and that line is going to be my dart line. So I'm going to connect it down like this, and at both sides I'm going to mark half of an inch at both sides. So after marking it, I'll extend it down to my dart line. Okay, so having done this now, I'll go ahead now to take my dart of 1 inch at that end so I mark my 1 inch dart, and I'm just going to go ahead to connect it and to stop exactly where my dart line stopped. So I'll go ahead now, add 1.5 inches just like I added to the upper bodice of this dress. I'm going to add 1.5 inches all the way around, and after doing that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect all of those dotted lines together. So now I'm done with this. I'll just go ahead and cut all of this part out, and also notch my dart area. So now I'm done with this. I went ahead to cut out the other piece for the back part, but I added 1 inch allowance, and you can see because the back part is folded on the right side, but the front part is folded on the wrong side. So I went ahead to take note of my waist allowance, of my joining allowance, and from there I came down by 5 inches, which I marked there, and again from that 5 inches which I marked, I'm going to come down by 8 inches. So we are actually trying to achieve a butt cover. I've done this numerous and countless times on this channel, but I'm just going to explain this once more. So you're just going to connect this like this, so you avoid all those bulging and all of that at the back of your dress, and by the time you're done, you have a very slant and nice zip. So you're going to connect, and the way you connect, you're going to cut out. So I'll go ahead and trim for the size of this my dress, and I'll go ahead and cut out for the zipper area. So you're going to cut out everything just the way I'm doing here, and with the way the lines you marked, you're also going to cut out as well, just like that. So now I'm gonna head to cut out all the lining piece for this my dress, and this is for the front part. All of this piece I've gone ahead to mark out the lining and also attach my hairstay to it. So watch properly, you actually see my hairstay actually iron to this. And please, one important thing is while cutting out, make sure you add at least half of an inch that will serve as your joining allowance. Don't cut exactly on this fabric. So now I'm going to work with this cup, and what I'm just going to do is to fold this my fabric into two, and I'm just going to measure out like, let me say 10 inches for the length. I'm going to measure out at least 10 inches for the length, and when I do this, I'm just going to cut out for the if I could lay down beside you, I would. So you can actually see what I did, right? So I'm just going to cut out the rest of the excesses. So now this is what I have. So on that close part, I'm actually going to get the middle of these 10 inches. Of course, you all know it's 5 inches. So at the end of these both fabrics, I'm just going to mark 1 inch inwardly, and I'm just going to connect this 1 inch to the midpoint of this dress. I hope you understand what I mean. So this is just basically it, and please, yours shouldn't be pointy. Try and blend everything together. So for these two parts I cut, these two parts I'm just going to join them like this, and I'm going to determine how I want it to be on my bra cups. But before that, actually, I'm going to work on my yoke part of this dress. So I'll go ahead now to stitch all of this part, all of these parts where I'm pointing at. But you see that in that part now, I'm just going to remain like 3 inches, and from that part I'll be turning it up, and you can see what I've already gone to do, and I'll take that in and stitch that part so it remains closed. So now for the front part of my dress, I'm going to place my yoke right side facing my actual front side of my dress like this, and I'm going to cover this just like this, and I'll pin this down first, and I'll pin the both sides down. So I'm just going to get my lining for the body of my dress, and I'm going to place it exactly on top like this, and I'm just going to stitch all of these parts at size that part where my hand is now. So I've done that, and you can see the only part where I didn't stitch inside is the part where the cups will be placed or be sitting. So now I've gone ahead to cut out 8 pieces of this material because we're using it to cover our cups, and I've gone ahead to join this right sides switching each other, and here I am nudging this, and after that I'm going to iron this open using my tailor's ham. Spray water and you iron this out very well. So for the bra cups now, we're going to mark like half of an inch all the way down to that point, and we're going to stop exactly at that point. So now I've gone ahead now to do that, and you can see it's actually giving it a beautiful shape. I mean, it's giving the bra cup a beautiful shape. So the next thing I'm going to do now is actually to iron my fabric on my bra cup. So this I'm making use of a hemming gum. A hemming gum actually makes two fabrics to stick together without, and it gives a neat work actually without stress. So spray water, you iron this out, and you notice that it will stick perfectly, having a neat work. So you can see how firm is already looking. Instead of pinning or sewing, I rather go with a hemming gum. So I've gone ahead to cut out the excesses that are around it, and this is how I'm actually going to place this, and I'm going to sew or stitch. You can see that top part, right? So that's the part I went ahead to stitch, and by the time I'm going to flip this over, this is it. I'm not flip it over, sorry, but you can see how I stitch only the top part of this bra cup actually. So flipping this over, you can see what it looks like, and our bra cup is almost ready. It's looking so fine and firm and nice. So now the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to fix or attach this bra cup to down my dress. Okay, so I'm actually going to trim more of this and I'm going to pin this down, because while stitching this your bra cup to your dress, you're going to stitch using that 1/4 inch round the bra cup. So I went ahead first to pin this down, and after pinning this down, I'm actually going to show you what it looks like before I'll go ahead to stitch this together with my dress.
We talk on the phone every night. Love to hear your
So this is it. I'm yet to stitch this, but this is what it looks like after pinning this. You can see the pins, right? So go ahead and trim yours off. So I'll do the same for the other part of the cup and stitch this, and here is the outcome, and this is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead now to work for the back part of this my dress, and you can see my hair stay already ironed on this. So right side facing my lining, I'm going to do a total turn up as well, leaving like 3 inches by the sides, which will serve as the part where I will turn up from. So now I'm placing all of these right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to join the shoulder to shoulder, and I'll also join the sides using 1.5 inch, which I use for the seam allowance. So here it is, and I'll add my zip and show you the outcome of this dress. So here's the outcome of this outfit, just like I showed you in the beginning of this tutorial. Thank you for coming this far to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and please emphasis on the liking, and if you're here to subscribe to my channel, please kindly do so. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much. See you next time on this channel. Bye.